Welcome to episode 20 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook and Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. We have had milder weather now, so the snow is really heavy, and when I finish this, I have to go outside and get rid of the snow on the roof. We have this Perspex roof over our decking, and when the snow gets really heavy, it sort of bulges down, so you know that, oops, I have to go do something about that. But I'm recording the podcast first. If you hear a really loud noise, it might be the roof caving in. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Maybe we should start with what I'm wearing. This is, I think it's over a year since I finished this, and it's the So Faded by Andrea Mowry. And this was my Spring into Wool sweater, because we went to Spring into Wool last Easter, and I wanted it done for that. So, as you can see, I didn't fade it, I just color blocked it. And at the top, we have Norah George. I think this was Beach Party. And below that, you have Yarn Cafe Creations, All the Candy to Myself. The next one is mine, and then we have Suburban Stitcher, Fizzy Drink, I think it was, and at the bottom Hedgehog Fibres, Beach Bunny. I'll put the name of the colorways down below so you can see what the different colors are called. And that's what I'm wearing. And before I forget, I did something yesterday that I wasn't sure about doing, but I decided to do it. I have gotten a Ko-fi page. For those of you who doesn't know what Ko-fi is, it's kind of it's a page, and the reason why it's called Ko-fi, it's because it's spelled K-O-F-I, but it's a place where you can sponsor podcasters with a cup of coffee. So that's why they call it Ko-fi. And I decided to do it because you don't get to be a millionaire by dyeing yarn, in case you were wondering. And if I'm going to be serious about this podcast business, I'll probably need some better equipment. And I also have giveaways and knit-alongs, and shipping yarn is expensive. So it's kind of a way for me to raise money for postage for prices and better equipment for the podcast. So I'll put the link in the description box below in case you feel like you want to help me pay for extra expenses I have because I do this podcast. And with that out of the way, we could start talking about FOs. I've had this whip kick the last in January and the start of February. I've been going through my whip basket and I've been finishing whips. And the oldest whip was also the largest, and when I picked it up, I realized that I didn't have a lot left on it. So I have to stand up for this one because it's big. It's a blanket for my mother-in-law. And as you understand why I had to stand up for this. It's crochet, and it's by Helen Shrimpton. It's called Rosslyn. And a couple of years ago, or maybe more, I decided I wanted to start crocheting these big blankets. All the patterns I picked up was by Helen Shrimpton because her crocheted blankets are beautiful. And I started one that's finished, and that's in the spare bedroom. And the second one I gifted my niece. And I started 2 more, this one and one for my youngest son, but I ran out of steam and I just started knitting. But my youngest son is also, he's asking, when are you finishing my blanket? When are you finishing my blanket? So that's the next big project I'm going to pick up again. And I have more ancient whips that I finished. We have this one. And this one you've seen before because I know several podcasters have knit this. It's the Montana Mountain Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And it's finally finished. And I've already worn it twice because I love the colors. The yarn I used really cheap. The grey is a really cheap commercial yarn, and the other color, the contrasting color, is a Shawl Crazy Sauber Ball, and I bought mine from Kamis Yarns on Etsy. I'll put a link down below to both Shawl's website and Kamis Yarns. And we have another FO, ancient whip, and it's this. It's the Wildflowers by rhyFlower Knits, and the yarn for these I got from my bestie Sue in Canada, Crafty 87. She was doing a D-stash, and why she sent me this yarn I'm not sure, because she loves green. And because she loves green, I decided I'm sending this back, but as a finished item. So these socks are for Sue, and I know she's going to watch this podcast if she has the time, because she's going on holiday tomorrow. So maybe she doesn't have time to watch this, but these are going to Sue. And I knit these socks toe up. I usually never knit socks toe up, but I wanted some variation. So, but I didn't like it. I think that's one of the reasons why they've been lying around so long, because I knit them toe up. So I won't be doing that again soon. So that's my FOs. My Flamingo mug. Or maybe you don't call these mugs. So that's my FOs. Just checking my show notes. I've been really professional this week, except I have some fibres in my nose. So sorry about the itchy nose. I forgot to tell you, the Rosslyn blanket is crocheted in acrylic. It's the Stylecraft Special DK. I use that for all my blankets. It's really soft, and the good thing about using acrylic for these big projects is that for one thing, crochet eats up yarn, and you need loads of yarn to crochet a blanket this big. And acrylic tends to be cheaper than wool, and besides, this can be thrown in the washing machine. So that's the reason why I used acrylic for that one. And I also have some whips, of course I do. And I have more whips than I'm going to show you now, but these are my active whips. The first one is a hoe. It's half a pair of socks. And these are the February socks for 12 i 20. The reason why I'm saying that in Norwegian, it means 12 in 20. It's a Norwegian podcast called Garnbutikken Fortuna. Two lovely ladies, mother and daughter, that's running they have their yarn store in Trøndelag, where I'm from actually. Originally, I'm from Trøndelag, and they have this knit-along every month throughout the year. They pick a pattern, sock pattern, and you knit the socks and you enter it. And this is the February pair. These are the bundled up socks by Knitting Expat or Mina Philip. And these are, I think most people knit these as scrappy socks or use minis. Sorry about that sound. I forgot to put my mobile on silent, so you may hear more sounds. This is I've knit this in you can probably tell it's the leftovers from my So Faded. It's the Suburban Stitcher and the Hedgehog Fibres. And as you can see, these colors blend together sort of. But I was going for a subtle look. So you can tell that they're striped, but you don't see the stripes really distinctly. And I love these. I love this color. So I'm looking forward to wearing these. So that's the... I've just about cast on the second sock. And I also have to cast on the second sock for this pair. This is a sample that I'm knitting up in my Polldale. No, sorry, this isn't Polldale. This is Corriedale. Corriedale sock in the colorway Lupine. Just to show people how that yarn microstripes. The pattern I'm using is the Shallow by Crazy Sock Lady. And I have yet to cast on the second sock. So I better get around to that. So I can finish this pair. Speaking about samples, before I show you my last whip, I'm going to need more samples because I entered a fair that's going this summer, and it's an entire week. I probably won't be there for the entire week, but I'm going to need new samples because I have loads of new colorways that I have no samples in, and so if I start sample knitting now, I'll have a lot of new samples this summer. And while I'm remembering it, I don't think any of you are going to be here this summer, but I'm rather excited because it's over several days and I have to plan my dyeing accordingly, I guess. So I will be busy dyeing yarn at least May and June, I guess, because the fair is in July. And then to my latest whip. I cast this on last night. My good friend Sue in Canada is knitting the Ambershore shawl. And I think it's gorgeous. And I wanted to cast one on as well. And I wanted to use only stash yarn, because I have a sizable stash and we're going to England. And I'm planning to spend a lot of money in a yarn store in Brighton where we're staying. So I decided I needed to get rid of some stash before we leave. So I started the Ambershore shawl. This was kind of, this is my yarn. So you could say it's stash yarn because it's the leftovers from a sweater. It's the On the Beach by Isabel Kramer. I knit that in this colorway. And this colorway is called Unicorn. What unicorn? And the stitch, the Progress Keeper, is really cute. And it says Friends Forever. And it's half a heart This was a present from Sue, and she has the other half. So that's really sweet. And the color went really well with this. It's a bit scrunched up on the needles because I like using short needles when I knit, because the stitches kind of slide easier when you have a short needle. So I'm starting with this color. I'm going to follow it up with this one. This is Electric Love from Dime Monkey Yarns. And I'm finishing it off with this. And there's magenta speckles in this one and in this one, and this is a pure magenta. So I thought they would go good together. This is Deep Stash. It's from Noodle Soup Yarns. I bought this yarn to knit socks for hubby. As you can see, it's going into a shawl for me instead. But so that's my Ambershore. That's something I'm knitting on now and then. And I also need to show you the bag I keep it in because I love it. And this is from my friend Sue bought this for me last year in Knit City, Vancouver. And let's just check who it's by. It's by Atelier Nekozuki. And I'll of course put a link down below. I do that for everything I talk about. So that's the last of my whips. I have one acquisition. I subscribe to a box from a company called Ewe Felty Thing. She's based in Llandudno in Wales. Sorry about that, I'm not Welsh. And she has this subscription where she sends you a skein of yarn, and I have the plus subscription, so she also sends me an extra, and this time it was a chocolate chip. That of course is eaten. Sorry about that. So you didn't get to see that. I already had ate it. But the yarn is really beautiful. I love these colors. It's kind of spring colors. I have a skein in stash with almost the same colors, and one of them is going to become a pair of socks. And this is really soft. It's merino nylon, and it's 100 grams and 400 meters for 100 grams. And maybe I should tell you who dyed it. Difficult to see. They're called Matter About Wool. And as I was saying, this is really, really nice. And it's really soft, so maybe a pair of socks for me. Or a one skein shawl. I'll see what I do with it. But it's an acquisition. It's going in my stash for now, until I figure out what to do with it. And that's what I have for knitting content. I'm planning on not doing a lot of knitting this weekend. I'll probably pick out the blankets I'm crocheting for my youngest son, and I'll show it to you next Friday. Either if it's still a work in progress, I'll show it to you anyway. But it's big, and I haven't touched it for over a year, so I'm not sure what I'll find when I wrap it out. Hopefully I'll be surprised like I was with this one. Oh, I don't have a lot of crocheting left before it's finished. My youngest son, his birthday is in July, so it would be really wonderful to have it finished for his birthday. And then we can talk about shop news, I guess. We could start by talking about something that's not exactly news, but the Arctic Seasons Spring Edition is in the shop. I'll link it below, and it's going to stay up until the end of the month. Beginning of March. And I still have available spots in that. It's going to be one sock set in an exclusive colorway, and there's the option to get an additional skein of yarn in an optional base with a different colorway that also is going to be exclusive. And you could sign up for that by clicking the link below. It's in my Etsy shop. And then I'm going to talk about the dyeing I have been doing this week, because I have gotten some new bases. And I have been trying out some of my new bases, and I'm going to show you what I have been doing this week. I have, this is a new base, it's merino nylon, and I'm calling it platinum socks, or actually the supplier is calling it platinum sock, and I can't see a reason why I had to change the name of the base. I know people have really creative names for their bases, but I don't. I use descriptive names for my bases. This is a colorway that I actually don't have in the shop right now. It's antique copper, and it's on the merino nylon platinum sock. I have dyed up some brickyard. This is also on the platinum sock. And this colorway I already have in the shop on my merino DK. So this is what it looks like on DK. This is what it looks like on merino nylon fingering. And I also dyed up some sparkly. And when I was going to dye up some sparkly, I of course had to dye it up on Headless Flamingo. You can tell that Polldale and the merino doesn't take the color dye the same way, because this is on my Polldale. It's my Headless Flamingo, and this is Silver Sparkle Sock. I dyed up some more sparkly, and it's my Vintage Rose. It's really difficult to tell this close, but you can see the sparkles, and this is the same colorway on Polldale sock. So I have some in the shop already. And then I dyed up some Vincent on the platinum sock, and that's also a colorway I already have in the shop. And this is on my Polldale sock, and this is on my really soft worsted. I have two different kinds of worsted. I have this Falkland merino, and I have a different merino, and this is really soft. So that's Vincent, and you'll probably see why it's called Vincent. It's inspired by Starry Night, but in my case it's Starry Night by Don McLean. So that's my Vincent. The reason why I'm showing you that I already have these colorways in my shop is if you really love one of them, and you don't have to wait until my update next Sunday, because you can get the colorway in my shop. And the latest I want to show you is the Gold Sport. It's a sport weight sock yarn. It's really soft and beautiful. And this is Arctic Spring, and I already have that in the shop on Polldale sock. So you can see, you can already get that, unless you specifically want sport sock weight. Sock yarn. Sport weight sock yarn. You have to wait until next Sunday, because I have shop updates every other Sunday. And the last I dyed up on my new basis is this, and it's Møysalen, and I already have it on Polldale sock. Møysalen is a local mountain. I can see it from my kitchen window, and this is inspired by that. The lighter streaks are the snow at the top of the mountain, and the color speckles represent the flowers at the foot of the mountain. No flowers now, but they'll get there, hopefully. The last two colorways I played around with, I decided I wanted some tonal greens, not pure green, but other colorways, and I'm really, really pleased with this one. And it's kind of an olive green. And even though greens are not my favorite, I really love this one. And the other green I have played around with is this one. It's kind of a bottle green. Both of these, by the way, are on my discontinued woolen spun merino fingering. So these will actually go straight into the sale bin when I put them in the shop, because all my discontinued bases are on sale at the moment in my Etsy shop. Because of the new bases coming in, I needed to clear some space. And these two are being named after two creatures from Norwegian folklore, monsters actually, one from the ocean and one from the lakes. And I'll show you pictures of them, but they're not pretty, because this is called draug. And the reason why I'm calling it that is because I love this color, and naming colorways is so difficult. And I realized this is kind of a kelp color, but kelp didn't like the sound of that. And then I suddenly remembered a picture that one of my favorite artists made. His name is Theodor Kittelsen, and he specialized in making pictures of different scary creatures from Norwegian folklore. And I remembered that the picture, I'm going to put it up on the screen, of course, that draug was coming out of the sea, and he was covered in kelp in exactly this color. So that's because of that, I decided, why not draug? And this one is named after a similar creature, but he was living in the lakes, and he's called Nøkken. And I'll also be putting up a picture of him made by Theodor Kittelsen. So draug and Nøkken. So another two colorways with Norwegian names. But I just had to, because there'll be a pair then. Probably you can't use them together because they clash a bit. But draug, Nøkken. And these will be going straight in the sale bin. I only have one of each. I'm going to dye up more of this. I'll probably dye up some... I'm waiting for some slub. Thick and thin, it looks like a handspun single. And I'm getting that next week, hopefully. I'm not sure any will be going into the next shop update. But as soon as I get it, I'm going to try dyeing up some. And I guess the slub, I'm only going to dye tonals on the slub. I'll see. I'm going to try variegated, of course. Because one skein, it's 200 gram skeins, 200 meters per skein, I think. So one skein is plenty for a hat. You probably have enough for 2 hats. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to dye up enough for another Ursa. I already knit an Ursa by Jacqueline Sislak, and I knitted in worsted, and the pattern is written for bulky, and my slub that's coming is a bulky. So I decided to knit myself another Ursa because it's a really quick knit. and it will make a really beautiful sample, I think. And I haven't yet decided what colorway to use. I want to try Grenadine, my deep red, because I think a red sweater would look really good. I love the way my Christmas ranunculus looks on me. So I might dye up some Grenadine on slub to knit that Ursa. But then again, I might use Draug because I love this olive green. We'll see. So that's my, this is going into the shop next Sunday at 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time. So that's what I was going to talk about today. I haven't got anything else. And I need to go outside and fix the snow on the roof. So that's another thing. And so I'll probably just call it quits. And get this edited so I can go outside and save the roof from caving in. And I'll see you again next Friday, and hopefully I'll have some FOs. If not, I'll at least have some more yarn to show you, because next Sunday is a shop update Sunday. So I'll see you next Friday. Bye.